What time is that tomorrow, Tim?
I don't think it's going to be live.
Okay.
I'm not sure though. I'll need to message Leonard in the morning. It's at 12:30 tomorrow. I don't know if it's live, whether it's live for you to participate in or not. Actually, I need to check that with him. Yeah, Joey just said, is it with the Nothing People? Yes, with the Nothing People. When I was a kid, there was this great TV show. It's just reminded me of the Tomorrow People. If you're about my age and you're English, you'll remember the Tomorrow People. It was my favorite show. And they could jaunt, which is quite a great word. They could jaunt, which means teleport themselves. These and they had superpowers, and of course, like most of us, when we were young, we dreamt of having superpowers. I'm guessing there aren't many of you who didn't dream of that and fantasize about what superpowers you might, what would your favorite superpower be? That's a lovely game Self likes to play. I played that a lot. And one of them was jaunting, which was just wishing yourself somewhere else. And of course, you could say that's pretty much the life of me, isn't it? wishing I was somewhere else. You could actually physically transport yourself to some tropical island. Yeah. Could still fantasize that, actually. So it's funny with the Nothing FM thing. There's a lot of talk about nothing at the moment. If you're if you're listening to a lot of speakers, there's a lot of talk of nothing, as though it's something, And of course, the word nothing is just attempting to point at what can't be pointed at. You could say that's the whole of this. That's all we're ever trying to do. We're trying to speak in words about that which won't be spoken of. And there isn't a nothing to find. You could say there's nothing found when you find nothing. But that doesn't amount to much, does it? Well, it sort of amounts to nothing. And really, when you're seeking, you're never seeking nothing. Unless you've made it into something. So we're talking about not finding anything, nothing in particular. And then there's just what there is, which you could call everything or nothing. It doesn't matter whether you say everything or nothing, because actually everything and nothing are not two. There isn't something to find. There isn't something else. There isn't more or less than what there is. And it really doesn't matter whether you say you know what there is or whether you say you don't know. Here it is, just the same. This is with or without knowing. You don't need to know for this to be exactly as it is. What we call the known is simply an artificial division from what's not known. So we say that we know people. So I know him, but I don't know her. So she's familiar. I know her. She's a friend, or she's family. I know quite a lot of facts about her. And then I meet someone and they're a stranger. And that's all the illusion. The fact is, you never know another. You don't know any others. And if it becomes obvious that you don't know any others, not really. You know a few facts about them. You've got memories about them. You've got memories of when you met them and what you did together. That's what you have. You don't know them. Then paradoxically, when there are no others, there are no strangers. No one's a stranger. So the whole myth of there are people you know and then everyone else is a stranger just becomes obsolete. It just doesn't make sense. There really are no strangers. And that goes for everything, really. You know, there are things that are familiar, and then there are strange things. And familiar just means I say I know what that is, and then strange is I don't know what that is. That's strange. That's weird. And I need to know it because the weirdness, the not knowing, feels threatening. When there is nothing that's familiar, known or unknown, until I say so. It's just a story that I tell myself. And familiar or strange, known or unknown, just kind of fall into each other. There really is no knowing the difference between what's known and what's not. This is always, you could say this is always unknown and yet completely known. That need to know in order to feel safe is an illusion. You could say that's what self is. I am the need to know in order to feel secure. And I only feel secure in that which I'm familiar with, that I tell a story that I know. So I know what's happening. And then something out of the ordinary, seemingly, happens. And I feel threatened because I don't know what's happening. Whereas really, we never know what's happening. We don't know what's happening, but what's happening is completely known. You really don't need to know what's happening for what's happening to be happening. And the peace is in the not knowing. Peace is in there's no need to know. It's really quite beautiful that nobody knows. I think that's probably what's meant by the phrase, if you meet the Buddha on the road, then kill him. Not looking to someone else who knows and maybe can help you to know. Okay. I think that, yeah, it's the impossibility of knowing. So the one who needed to know stops trying, and then, oh, let's have a cup of tea. I can't emphasize enough how much I wanted to know, though. And it may seem that, well, you must have found out something, otherwise you wouldn't be, you know, setting up Zoom meetings for people to come to so you can tell them that you don't know. So you must know that you don't know. Somebody said that to me the other day. Well, you must know that you don't know. I said, no, I don't know that I don't know. Right, that's enough of knowing, or not. I guess I say that because not knowing can just be another thing to seek, of course. If you hear, oh, it's all about the not knowing, well, that's what I need then. I need to not know. So knowledge is just the same. If you ask me, I pretty much know what I've always known, but that just doesn't mean anything, I guess. It's just empty knowledge. And all knowledge is beautifully empty. And just seen for what it is. Because knowledge is just words. That's what it is, isn't it? Words and stories. So words woven into a fabric. And from that fabric, we make what we call reality. And that fabric might start to look transparent. Doesn't go away. You can still see the fabric. You could say it's like voile. You see through it, or it's seen through. It's not really there. Overlaid, you could say. But that's saying too much, really. Okay, I said I was going to stop, so I'm going to stop now. So if you've got any questions about the thorny subject of knowing or not knowing, or anything else, probably something else. I've spoken enough about that.
Looks like Jackie has her hand up.
Hi, Jackie.
Yep. Hi. Tim, well, first of all, I have to acknowledge that I'm in a bad mood.
Okay.
But so 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 why, I don't understand why when you look in the mirror you have any kind of personal response to the fact that you've got short hair. Like, why, if there's no one there, why would you have any response to it as though it was, I'm having a doubting day. I'm
Yeah.
having a like, are you sure there's no one there? Because sure, you know, are you sure you're not talking a load of crap? Are you sure it's not?
Yeah.
I am in a bad mood, so just, yeah,
That's all right. You can be in a bad mood. That's fine. No, how do I know? I don't know. It's just there's a memory of what the face usually looks at, looking back at me out of a mirror. And then there was another one this morning. So I was like, oh shit.
But why would you have like, why would you be upset about that? Like, why, it sounds like you took it personally, you see, to me.
Oh yeah. Well, the thing is, you don't need me to take things personally.
Oh,
Well,
well,
that's
you've got to say more about that. I thought it was the end of taking things personally.
yeah. Well, that's what me would think. Yeah, you would think that, because I say, well, it's my life. So when there's a reaction, it seems that you would maybe label as taking something personally. When the body and the mind reacts just naturally to something, then you would say, oh, well, that's me taking it personally. Well, the thing is about personal was never mine.
Mm. But when you look in the mirror,
Yeah.
it's, you don't think, oh, that's my face, do you? I mean, I do, but you don't.
Oh, it's really hard to say. Well, I do and I don't. You know, it's a familiar face, and I'm usually shocked how old it looks. That's the first thing I'd say. Bloody hell. And then this morning it was even more shocking, because it was a bloody old face, and then he had no hair. And I was thinking there should be a young guy, extremely attractive, who, you know, women would be falling at his feet because he's so gorgeous. And then that wasn't the case. And so there were a few tears shed. Now, whether you say they were my tears or not is of no relevance. Jackie, I think, you know, there's nothing radically different about. So when you're looking at me as a speaker of non-duality who says there's no self, so I've now lost myself. Well, the hardest thing about this to try and convey is that the loss of self is no loss, because it's not even an illusion. Don't get me wrong, it does feel like an incredible loss in the losing, but it's very hard to convey that when everything that was mine, that I held most dear, seemed to have been lost, it was very obvious nothing was lost. And that includes myself, because there wasn't a self to lose.
So there's no self-consciousness at all.
No, and the thing is,
And
I would say,
talk about your hair,
yeah,
you
one of the
sound
most,
self-conscious.
yeah, and I'm not self-conscious, otherwise I probably wouldn't have, I would have cancelled the meeting in horror that I would show the world my new look. But because it's not my new look, it really doesn't matter. So, and yet there were tears. So there's a lot of paradox in this. You know, reactions are completely natural. So something here mourned the loss of the hair. I always loved my hair. Less so when it went white, but as a young man, I was incredibly vain with my hair. I was always in the mirror doing my hair. I was almost doing my hair as much as Darren Robinson, but not quite. Lovely game. Yeah, and so I don't know. There was something this morning, and I did honestly. There were I had a few tears. It's really, and then I laughed about the fact that I was mourning the loss of my hair. So, but that's not my loss. Reaction. Well, all I'm saying, really, Jackie, is the reactions are natural. They're just not yours. They're not mine. Just reactions. You know, so what we would call my feelings or my reactions just happen naturally.
Okay.
So there aren't
No
human
one-
beings.
No letting me down now.
What with? What, giving you hope, Jackie? I need to let you down, really. I need to throw
Yeah.
you down, not let you down.
True. Yeah, that's the biggest gift, actually. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I mean, if you've lived on hope, self has lived on hope all its life, then this can be the last chance saloon that I could lose myself, and then I'll be okay. That's a lot of. I know that's a lot of what I was seeking when I was going to a lot of non-duality meetings. I was looking, okay, this is my final chance to be free of myself. Never hearing, although I was told enough times, that there was no self to lose. I heard it enough, but that didn't register. And so I was waiting until I knew the loss of myself, and then I would know the freedom from myself. There is no such.
Tim?
I don't know if I
Okay.
don't know if that's an answer for you, Jackie.
I don't know either.
Tim,
Yeah.
I really liked Jackie's question. Your answer was great. I think that it's like a really subtlety of the idea that something that appears to be personal isn't personal.
No, and of course, from the perspective of me and how I take my life very personally, then obviously, how could it be that there could be a seemingly personal reaction if that human being doesn't have a sense of self? Well, it's because there's no sense of self in the first place. It's not you ever reacting, there's just reactions.
Yeah, it's never personal. Never has been. David's got his hand up.
Hi, David.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, fine. Yeah.
Can you hear me? I love that hairstyle, by the way. It's fantastic.
Yeah. I thought there'd be one person who would really appreciate it. I thought that might be you, David.
I'm wondering if I can maybe raise Jackie's spirits a wee bit. Maybe
Oh,
not.
that would be nice. Yeah, go on then.
There's something I have to thank her for. She doesn't even know who I am, I don't think. But I was at Buckland a few years ago, Jackie, and it's your voice I remember as much as anything else when I hear it, and it's lovely to hear it again. I just retired, and this was my big retirement present, you know, a few days in Buckland for, you know, you're cheaper going to Las Vegas for a month, actually. But by the time I got there, you know, there's flights, there's cars to rent and all the rest of it. Anyway, it was a lovely, challenging time as ever. And it was in the early days of the retreat. This was with Tony Parsons, for those who don't know Buckland. It's a remarkable place. And so I'm in full throttle, the usual, you know, no show without punch, David. And I'm banging on about the self and all, you know, raging away there with Tony. So I've finished my bit, and he's kind of said, fine, okay, you know, anybody else? And Jackie, and I'm sure it was you, Jackie, you were sitting right at the front, and she said, if I can just follow on with what, I think you called me a gentleman, actually, which is a big surprise, with what that gentleman has just said. If indeed the self is a mirage and, blah, 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 then how could it be that such and such, and then there was a pause, and you just you looked up, and there was this sigh of despair, and you just said, I can't be bothered. And every penny I spent on that retreat, in excess of £1,000, was repaid 10 times. It was the thing I came away with. And Tony's eyes just twinkled. There was a pause after that when you said, I can't be bothered. And he just looked at you and nodded. And it was wonderful. It was
I do remember that. I do, yeah.
It was beautiful. Just a shiver went down my spine. I thought, fuck, that's it. So this knowledge thing is getting back to what Tim was saying, this desire to know, blah, blah, blah. But surely the self is, is a mirror of this, and reality is such and such. I can't be fucking bothered. It's beautiful. So I wanted to thank you, and maybe that's raised your spirits tonight. I don't know.
Thanks, David.
Thank you very much.
That's all I ever long for, is to be remembered.
Well, you are here, I can tell you, and I think about it a lot. I've dined out on it several times, I can tell you. I may have embroidered.
Were you there, David, when I pushed Tony out the way and started taking them in?
Yes, I think I was. Yes, that's right. Yes.
Did you take the stage, Jackie?
I pushed Tony out the way. I said, actually, what I long for is just fame and admiration. Push Tony out the way and start taking questions.
Yeah.
Oh, lovely.
It's my finest moment.
Yeah. Thank you very much. And thank you, Tim. Thanks for your space.
Oh, that's nice. Yeah. We all like a moment in the spotlight. Yeah, pushing Tony over.
I can't be bothered. I can't be bothered.
Tim, two things. Vicky has a hand up, but I'm not sure whether you're spotlighted, because I've noticed speakers have been coming up. You spotlighted yourself at the beginning, right?
No, you did.
No, I didn't. I thought you said that you did. That's why I didn't.
No, I didn't.
Oh, well, there we go.
Oh, no. I leave that to you, Darren.
Okay. Well, look, I'm going to spotlight you now, but maybe maybe we could just ask the people that have spoke already if they mind if it goes onto YouTube, if they mind being on YouTube, or either we could just. I don't
Jackie,
know.
it's your moment in the spotlight. You're going to be on YouTube.
Yeehaw!
Yeehaw! Well, do those people mind? That's really what Darren's saying.
Yeah. David.
If not, then it could just go up if you want. Or I won't bother. There's enough videos of me on YouTube. One might say too many. So who's got their hand up, Darren?
Vicky had a hand up.
Vicky.
Hi, Tim.
Where are you, Vicky?
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Vicky. Yeah.
Hi, I'm in bed, so.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. A question. Recently, I visited a huge glacial lake, and the feeling it evoked in me was just deep, utter aloneness, emptiness, such despair. And since the visit, the feeling lingers, and it feels like I'm being eaten alive by the emptiness. It just remains. It follows me everywhere.
Yeah.
And I can be in company, and I just feel so utterly alone.
Yeah.
And so yeah.
Well, there's no way this has to be, but I mean, that's really very familiar to me. When you describe it like that, Vicky, that's really familiar.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there is no escaping the emptiness. If it's seen, then it's like every effort I had made to avoid looking at the essential emptiness of everything, they all became useless. Every tactic that I'd ever used to distract myself from looking in the face of nothing, you could say, or emptiness. They just all became redundant. None of them would work anymore. It was worse than they wouldn't work. I couldn't even employ them anymore. They weren't even available. I couldn't find any of the strategies that I'd used to distract myself from this.
Yeah.
This is empty. The only consolation I might give you, Vicky, is that
Okay.
there's nothing in nothing. There's nothing to be afraid of. It's
Okay.
really nothing.
Yeah. So just to relax into that emptiness.
I mean, the emptiness is absolutely neutral.
Yeah.
I mean, self is very afraid of it because it feels like it's eating me, which in a very, yeah, as you've described it, that's very powerful. And that really resonates with how it felt when it felt that I was being, yeah, I could have said eaten. It's more like being torn apart, it felt for me. But there is nothing to fear, because there is essentially nothing to be torn apart, you
Okay.
know, other than a fiction.
Yeah.
Yeah. Nothing is nothing to be afraid of.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a beauty in that. Like I saw the beauty in the emptiness, but there was
Yeah,
also this deep sorrow and such compassion as well for everybody.
there will
Yeah.
be. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
It will be starkly obvious that this is how it is. And that doesn't just go for what I've called me, it's everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, and there is great sorrow for
Yeah.
the seeming loss, for all that I held most dear.
Yeah.
It's a ruthless love.
Yes, it is. Yeah.
Mm.
Empty but full. Yeah.
Yeah. And yeah, and in losing everything that was mine, there really nothing was lost.
Thanks, Tim.
Oh, thanks, Vicky. That's yeah. It's not necessarily pretty. I mean, there are stories of selves who seem to go quietly in the night, you know, and he passed away peacefully in the night. But
Yeah.
that's not how it is for most selves. Most me's will fight like hell. You know, I've been fighting all my life to stay alive, and now this has appeared, and it seems like life is killing me, or wants
Yeah.
to eat me, wants to destroy me. And so what's my main defense against that destruction? And that is fear, terror. Because
Yeah.
then I feel solid. Fear is very effective in making me feel real.
Yeah. Yeah, because the fear came up initially, and then I went back to look at the lake, and I was like, okay, lake, let's just sit here, let's be friends. And then it went into joy, and then now it's transformed into sorrow and grief. Yeah, but great beauty as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
In the silence. Like I've got your book here, The Deafening Silence, and I so relate to those words. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, thanks, Vicky. Thanks for sharing that.
No, thank you. Thank
Can I ask another question? Actually, no, Scott's before me. Sorry, Scott's first.
Yes.
Okay, I'll ask Scott, then you, Jackie. Yeah. Hi, Scott.
Hey, hey, I really like this idea that you just said about how we distract ourselves from the emptiness. And I think that's probably the animator for all the egos in a way, is pushing against that fear. That's where the friction and the energy comes from, actually. And I listening to Vicky, I remember just sitting, I had this beautiful porch and looking at the mountains in Italy and just crying with a friend of mine saying, oh, I really wanted it to be real. You know, my mom's love in high school and all my, you know, it's like you just see it crumbling, and it's the saddest thing. You just cry for yourself for having invested so much wanting it to be real.
Yeah.
It costs you everything. I mean, everything that you thought you had, you just see, you have to watch it crumble. And that was probably the saddest day of my life. I just, and I had to admit it to myself. I wanted it to be real. You know, I was all in, and, you know, and so I had lost, you don't just lose the ego, because, you know, that was just a pain in the butt anyway, but all the stuff that we were so certain was going to, you know, follow us all along and be, you know, our scars as well as our glories, you know, we were going to.
Oh, especially those,
You know, I think a lot of us think that, you know, what could be better than being a famous footballer, you know, and sitting on your glories at the end of your days. And now I think that must be really sad.
Oh yeah. There's nothing sadder than an old sports star.
And you know, you just have to keep reinforcing every day. It's real. It was real. It's real. It was real. It was. Finally, you get to Jackie. I can't be bothered.
No. But you're right that it's not just, it's this, the sadness and the sorrow and the grief is not just for past glories, but it's for past defeats, past losses, past past pain, past suffering, all the scars, as you said. Yeah.
Thanks. This has been a really great one. Thanks.
Thanks. Oh, thanks. Hold on.
I like your haircut, by the way.
Thanks, Scott. I almost believe you.
Jackie has a hand up still.
Sorry, Jackie, do you want to go now? Thanks, Scott.
Yeah. I just wanted to come back. The thing about the looking in the mirror, because like, what's your, you know, like, you know, when there's a me, when there's the illusion of a me, there's a sense of being in the body and it's my hands and my whatever. Like, so my projection then there for you or other non-me people, that there's no special relationship with the body, like it's just another object. It's just it's close, kind of, I don't know, it's kind of, maybe, you know, it's a very familiar object, but there's no identification with the body, which is why I still struggle with the idea of you having a response to your haircut.
Yeah. It's just no big deal at all, Jackie. You know, I was thinking, I'm thinking how it would have been as you know, when I was listening to Tony or other speakers about Oh, so it'll be very, very different not being my body, my hair, my hands, my face. But it really isn't.
But there's no identification with that body.
No.
There's no location, is there?
No, absolutely no. The location thing is really, I mean, that, I think that can be, it was disconcerting for me, that lack of center, that lack of feeling inside. And that's why everything, I think it takes for most, it would take a bit of getting used to, because the emptiness is so all consuming that you know, because what you called inside it is empty and everything outside is empty, you just can't locate. But then I don't know, it just, again, it just seems in the story, it just becomes, you get used to it, it's normalized, and it really isn't that different. And again, the only way I can, if I logically can try and make sense of why it isn't so different, is because I never was. So it never was, I never was inside. It never was my body. But if you ask me, you know, how I am today, then the response comes just the same as it ever would. And if you ask me, are these my hands? Then I'd say yes. I don't feel that I have to say that they're not, because it's just very ordinary. It's very natural. But what is different is the significance that's placed on my body, my health, my well-being, my safety, everything that I used to call mine. It's much less significant, yeah. But I could still call it mine. It just wouldn't mean probably what it would have meant.
And it'd still be like the animal, you know, running from danger kind of response.
Yeah, of course.
That.
Yeah. Everything is completely natural. You know, I was never doing any of it. You're not doing any of it. There is this felt sense that you are. You know, I don't talk about Ramesh Balsekar much, but you know that all he ever went on about was, you know, that there's no doer. You know, that's really what I am. I am the illusion that I say that I'm making stuff happen, and that the stuff that's happening is happening to me. The difference is so subtle that it's not even, I mean, it's not really noticeable. I've said it before, and there was no noticing the absence of myself. There was nothing to notice, just nothing. I mean, I guess if you've been on this path, this seeking non-duality path, then you've been waiting for a long time to experience not being yourself. And that won't happen. How the hell could that happen?
Yeah, I've been kind of sort of sitting with that. I don't know if it was at this meeting, I don't know where I heard it, but you know, the thing about, you know, like we never experience death. You know, we just experience the last moment of life.
Yeah.
You know, like we'll only ever know the last moment of me. We won't, you know, then yeah, we won't ever know. There's nothing beyond that to know. Yeah, I find that very comforting, certainly in terms of death. You know, that I don't have to face death. I'm not going to, you know, I'm never going to experience death. I'll just, yeah,
no,
just one more moment of life, and yeah, and then that's it. But I think, you know, the thing about taking things personally, you know, like that's definitely what I'm, yeah, what I would struggle with, like anyone else. That, but I mean, I'm sure I'll still take things personally. I remember someone saying, you know, their partner was, you know, the illusion of me had gone, they popped, as they used to say, and they were still angry with them. They were still, you know, they were still grumpy and angry. So yeah, it's just, I guess, not to be there and experiencing that is nice, but it's not like, I'm going to stop being grumpy.
No, no, Jackie, if your self falls away, you're likely to be even more grumpy. I can't imagine what that would look like, but that could happen.
Not pretty.
Sorry, I can't help but tease you a little bit because you did say you were grumpy today.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Okay.
mean, there's all those myths about how my life will be different. Well, there isn't a life to be different.
Yeah, this is
That's,
it already. Yeah.
that's the whole message. There isn't a life that's going to be different. There's just this life. That's it. We can call it, doesn't matter what you say about it or what you call it. There it is, and that's your lot. This is your lot. And it's not even your lot. Just
Yeah.
lot.
Yeah.
And whether you like your lot or not, life couldn't give a shit, could it? And believe it or not, all the love, all the freedom, all the peace is in, oh my God, life doesn't give a shit about me. Well, whoever taught us that that was where all the freedom, the love, and the peace lay in, life does not recognize me because there is no me to be recognized. The only one who recognizes me is me and the other me's who need me to be real in order to confirm their own reality. That's it. It's just a colluded story amongst human beings that there are all these me's walking around controlling human beings. Well, it's bollocks. There's just human beings going around reacting, and whether there's a sense of me or not, they look in the mirror and they see a guy who they don't recognize with no hair, and then a few tears are shed. They're not tears for me. It's just a reaction. Human beings are reactive organisms, just like leaves. We like to turn towards the sun. That's it. It's ridiculously simple. Stop looking at human beings as these wonderful, super intelligent, autonomous beings who manage their own lives and are responsible for everything they do. See human beings for what they are. Beautifully complex, reactive beings. But really not really much more intelligent than a dog or a cat. And certainly no more in control of what each body does than a dog or a cat. I mean, we don't take cats and dogs to court, do we? And there's a very simple reason why we don't take dogs or cats. The dog scratched me, grievous bodily harm. You're going before the judge. And it's simply because we're the only ones who say we're in control. And it's not that without me, there will be no control. It's not like that at all. There's no knowing control or loss of control. Again, that's just my story again. So without me, there will be no one in control. So there'll be chaos, mayhem, anarchy. Again, just scare stories told by me. It is beautiful when there's no one to forgive, about with responsibility. When there's no one else, there's no forgiveness necessary for me. It's the end of that. Not only do I not feel guilty, I don't have to forgive myself for all the wrongdoings. and I don't have to blame anyone else. I'm just free to dislike and like as it appears. So I don't mean you like everything. It's wonderful, great freedom in really saying what you dislike. Don't do that. That fucking annoys me. Well, what a wonderful freedom to just say that without, you know, thinking, well, he can't really help it. He's had a lot of problems. You know, I know that, yeah, he's traumatized and all of that. Well, it's, you know, just freedom. It's not you saying it. It's not you disliking it. It's naturally disliked or liked. Faith.
Okay.
What's the time? Yeah.
Anne has her hand up, unless
Right, done it.
Hi, Tim.
Faith. Oh, actually, Faith. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I last weekend watching The Perfect Planet. It was just. Did you see it by any chance?
I didn't see it. No.
No, it was absolutely amazing. In the oceans, about the tides and the currents, the whole natural world, the beauty and the poetry and the you either eat or you're eaten. It's, I don't know why it keeps resonating here, but it seems very pertinent. It's such a contrast to the way the human life seems to be. I mean, the intelligence in the natural world, the way fish know where to go to swarm and all the rest of it, compared with us. And I would imagine if they don't have any self-consciousness, do they? All these wonderful creatures.
No.
I would imagine if our life could be like that, or maybe I'm dreaming, I don't know. It was a very powerful program.
Well, there is, I mean, you can dream of being a fish if you want, Faith.
No, stop it. You know that.
No, I don't know. You can dream of being a fish, but one thing I will say for sure, you're absolutely stuck with being human.
Forget it. I don't know what point I want to make. Just sort of.
No,
it's
but
all so effortless for them.
Well, what me has done has separated itself from nature. I think that's how I feel. That's what I feel you're saying, and that separation is artificial. We are human beings are absolutely as natural as a fish.
Yeah.
And how a fish doesn't need to know where it's going to spawn. It just goes there. And that is what you do.
Don't want to be a fish.
You do want to be a fish. And but the thing is, you don't need to know, you know, why you're going to the toilet, or you know, or cooking your soup to be cooking your soup. You know, the whole thing that I'm doing it's all that. Everything is absolutely natural.
Let's leave it there, okay?
Yeah. So human beings, I mean, we've made ourselves the problem, because I am a problem to myself, whereas we are not a problem. Human beings are not a problem. But of course, there's nothing more human beings like than saying how much of a problem human beings are.
They'll be saying it big time on Sunday, apparently.
Yeah. I mean, we love, so you know, we love knowing how we could make the planet better. And usually it's by making other human beings do what we think would make the planet better.
We're on different trajectories. Never mind.
Tim, Anne has her hand up.
Hi, Tim.
Hi, Anne.
Nice haircut.
Thank you. I think hint of sarcasm.
No. Why did I do that? No. I was wondering why you'd had it cut, but I think I just missed that at the beginning, so we won't go into that again.
I'm not going to do the whole story again. and just know it was a mistake.
Okay, okay. Thank you, because that was driving me mad. But I love what you're saying about how normal it is not to be an entity in a body.
Yeah.
Yeah, it just so struck me when you said that, because I thought that it would feel very different, like you were saying, extremely different. But it does feel more normal than ever.
It's more ordinary than ever, yeah.
And more normal than it felt abnormal pretending to be
of course
living in a body.
you could say this is normal and being me is completely abnormal.
Yeah, absolutely. And you know, looking memories I have of the past were all about that, really, that feeling abnormal, as if everybody else was comfortable in their body.
Absolutely.
And relating and identifying with it, but I wasn't. And I was abnormal because I didn't feel there enough.
Yeah. Well, the whole sense of feeling me is painful. There's something wrong, and the something wrong is me.
Yeah.
There's something wrong with me. Well, this is incredibly beautiful about this message is there is nothing wrong with you. There's no you to have anything wrong. I mean, that's beyond belief, isn't it? Me's never going to have that, by the way. Self will not accept. You know everything that you could improve about yourself. You've got a shit long list. And really, all this is like screwing that list up and going, ha, I thought that, and all of it is binned. Of course, along with that goes all your strengths and achievements, along with that list of improvements as well. You know, you don't get to keep the good bits and lose the bits that you wanted to. That's why you could say that everything is lost. But in that losing, nothing is lost. Nothing. This can't be lost or found. It simply is. And is a word that I'd like to use more, but it just doesn't seem to have enough weight. But everything is. Well, thanks very much for coming, everyone. Lovely to see you all. I'll send invites if you'd like to be on the mailing list for invitation. Then just email me through the website timclissthis.com, or do that.
Tim?
And I have got, hi Alice.
I just a quick question. I didn't get an invitation today, and maybe I have to go on your events page to do that. Will that be part of your invitations on these Mondays and Thursdays, or not?
I don't know what's going on, Alice, because you're on the list and I sent you an invite, so it's gone into the ether somewhere.
Okay, Tim.
You're definitely on the list, and I definitely send you an invitation because you emailed me, and Darren did as well. But I'll have another look. Something's awry. It may still be going to junk. I don't know.
Thank you, Tim.
Yeah, check your junk, Alice. It might be in there.
I'm guessing it is.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks ever so much, everyone.
Before everyone goes, if anyone wants to make a donation, it's free, but you can do it at PayPal/Tim Cliss, I think. Is that it? Something like that.
paypal.me/Tim Cliss.
That's it.
Or you can donate through the website.
Yeah.
I put a couple of more written things on the website today. If you're really bored, you could have a look at them.
Like your poems.
And kind of poetry. I wrote a Shakespearean thing today about much ado about nothing. which I didn't call Much Ado About Nothing. And then it was only after it I thought, oh no, I've written some Shakespeare in modern language. I think I called it A Lot of Fuss About Nothing. And then I thought, hold on a minute, that sounds familiar. But yeah, I did put a few things on the website today. Okay. Lovely to see you all. Hi, Rogier.
Thanks, Tim.
Hi, Tim. Lovely haircut.
Are you
Thank you, Tim.
Thanks,
Well,
Tim.
you just turned up at the end just to take the piss out of my hair.
Great.
All right. Lovely to see you. Hope to see you on Monday.
Thanks, Tim.
Thanks,
Tim.
Tim.
Bye-bye.
Thanks.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.